It has been established. This morning, Golden State's the better team. Kevin Durant's out. Klay Thompson didn't finish the game. Kevon Looney, who's become a very reliable big for them, did not finish the game. Iggy is hobbled. Boogie Cousins is not fully healthy, has no lateral quickness. I mean, can't move. By the way, Steph Curry was sick. They didn't score for 5.5 minutes on the road and won. Golden State's the better team. Okay, reverse these injuries. Kawhi couldn't play. Marc Gasol, Lowry don't finish the game. You think it would be close? Last night established the best team in the NBA. One team has far more talent. One team can withstand the most bizarre series of injuries I've ever seen before a finals into the finals. This series is no longer Toronto against Golden State. This series now is the Raptors versus an MRI. Can guys play? If Klay Thompson doesn't play in Game 3, Toronto's going to win the game. You can't possibly win a game with Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson out and relying on an Australian center late who wasn't in the league a couple of months ago. We have an asterisks final. I don't remember the last one, but that's what we have, and that's what it is, and that's just what it is. It's an older, hobbled, injury-plagued, legendary dynasty against a cool story. And you see this, one of them is going to be in the history books. One of them is memorable. One of them's the Eagles. One of them's U2. One of them's the Beatles. One of them's the Who. The other one is the Macarena. It was really catchy for a summer, and I don't remember what happened to it. And then I have a story that comes out this morning, Kawhi Leonard rumors. He's all but gone. The kid wants to live in California. So now we're potentially 9 days away from a complete rebuild for the Raptors. And that's okay. It's not a shot at Toronto. This is the way it works. You almost never have concurrent dynasties in basketball. You can't, right? Because if I'm a dynasty, you can't be a dynasty. Works that way in golf, works that way in the NFL. We did have the Lakers and Celtics in the 80s, both dynasties in their prime at the same time. And they played volleyball back and forth. Magic wins, Mikhail Bird wins, Magic wins, Bird wins, Magic wins, Magic wins. Then a kid named Michael Jordan showed up and knocked them both off. But the truth is, this is the way it usually works. MJ's Bulls beat a series of forgettable teams, right? They beat Utah a couple times. They beat Seattle. They beat Phoenix. They beat Portland. The teams they beat never won a title. Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. Remember that? They beat the Sixers. They beat the Nets. They beat the Pacers. None of those teams ever won finals, and they're not in the record books, and they're completely forgettable. That wasn't even the best Sixers team. That wasn't even the best Pacers team. That wasn't even the best Nets team. So the point being is, you don't get concurrent dynasties. You get one, and that one is memorable. But as those dynasties get older, this happened to Magic, and this happens to all the great teams. You play these 20 extra playoff games. They're very intense. I mean, the Warriors got blown out 8 times during the regular season when they were healthy. What does that tell you? They can't wait to get to the playoffs. The problem is they're now in the playoffs and they're falling apart. Golden State's the better team. Reverse these injuries. For Golden State to go on the road and withstand what happened last night. Klay starts the game, can't finish. Looney starts the game, can't finish. They got big baskets late from Andrew Bogut. I mean, it is a testament to how deep Golden State is. It is a testament that they can go 8 guys to the bench and still win a road game while not scoring for 5.5 minutes, and Steph Curry didn't score in the fourth quarter. We have established the best team in the NBA this year. And they were the best team last year and the best team the year before that. But the difference is this year, it's now just Toronto against an MRI. Let me transition to this. Boogie Cousins was unbelievable last night. I think Boogie Cousins got himself a contract. No, not with the Warriors. I think Boogie Cousins got himself a contract with a team like the Lakers. Let me explain. Bad teams, poorly run organizations like the Lakers, will give big contracts to people who have a good moment or have a good series. Well-run teams, like the Patriots, bail on players, realizing after one great year, that's an outlier. We can't depend on that said athlete. Let me give you 4 examples. The 1995 Super Bowl. There was a cornerback for the Cowboys named Larry Brown. He was fine. He wasn't elite, but he had 2 interceptions and got named the Super Bowl MVP. One right there I'm showing our FS1 viewers was thrown right at him. So Larry Brown, a good solid corner, not spectacular, was the Super Bowl MVP. What happened? A franchise, the Raiders, that was becoming increasingly dysfunctional, drove the Brinks truck up to his house and paid him a fortune. And he was never, ever, ever worth half of his contract. Let me go to baseball, 2004 National League playoffs. A very solid player named Carlos Beltran. He had a monster playoff run. 8 home runs, 12 games. He batted over 400. Carlos Beltran in 2004 owned the National League playoffs. He put up numbers that were way beyond. He got hot. Way beyond him. What happened? The dysfunctional New York Mets paid him a fortune, and Beltran went to New York, where he had a couple decent seasons. He was a good, solid player, but he wasn't worth the $120 million they paid him. How about Darrelle Revis? He'd bounced around the NFL. The Patriots brought him in for a year. And with Crowder on the other side, he had a Pro Bowl season. He was very, very valuable. Bill Belichick knows his corners and loves his corners. And he brought Darrelle Revis in for a season, and he had a great year. But Bill realized, you know what? Man-to-man coverage, he's eroding. We're going to let him go. What happened? The New York Jets came in and paid him $70 million. I don't believe he even finished the contract. And finally, the 4th example is Timofey Mozgov, who I saw recently at a restaurant I like. He had a decent championship finals series with the Cavaliers. Not great, but decent. We suddenly all heard of Timofey Mozgov. He was he was powerful. He was sort of reliable in small doses. And guess what? The Lakers went out and paid him a fortune. They couldn't get out of that contract 8 months later fast enough, and they found another sucker to buy it off. 4 examples of poorly run dysfunctional teams always overpay for somebody who has a good moment or a good series. And last night, Boogie Cousins was terrific. He was terrific. But Boogie Cousins is hard on locker rooms. Golden State's always seen him as a guy long-term that really doesn't fit their style of offense or defense. In fact, he's a defensive liability at this point. But he gave you, as an incredibly skilled big, a wonderful night of basketball. And you could make the argument, and I think it's a good one, he actually won the game for him. He was incredibly valuable last night. And I think he got himself a contract. But the Warriors are simply too well run to be the team that gives it to him. Keep your eye on the Lakers. As I've said, so dysfunctional they can't land a top free agent. They don't have the assets to trade for Anthony Davis, and they're going to have to settle. Watch them pony up the big dough for Boogie Cousins.